ओम सच्चिदानंद परब्रह्म परमात्मा पुरुषोत्तम श्री भगवती समेत श्री भगवते नमः. The one who is all, who is in all, where all is in him, who is everything and everything in him, that great God, the Parabrahma, the Supreme Spirit, may protect and guide us so that we succeed in our life to be happy, peaceful and prosperous. Om Rishabharuda Parabrahmane Namaha. Dear devotees, today we are going to discuss a very important subject, spirituality. Spirituality is a very misunderstood term. That is because the people who are talking about spirituality have not presented it properly. Maybe they have not understood it, or maybe they are not able to express it. When we talk of spirituality, people think that they have to be religious. People talk to us that they want to grow spiritually, they want to become spiritual, and then when we probe them, they will say that they want to be religious and they want guidance on that. Or they think that doing pujas, going to temples and performing rituals, and maybe even ethical living, good living, they all think that this is spiritual. Of course, these steps are involved in spirituality, but they form a small part of spirituality. So then what is spirituality? To understand what is spirituality, we have to understand what is this universe, what are the beings, particularly what is a human being. Unless we understand these, we can't understand what is spirituality. In Mundaka Upanishad, sage Shaunaka asked his father Rishi to impart him the knowledge of that by knowing which he will know everything. The Rishi replies that the knowledge or vidya is of two types. One is aparavidya, which is the laukika vidya, that is transactional knowledge. The other one is paravidya, the transcendental knowledge. The aparavidya or the laukika transactional vidya means learning accountancy, law, medicine, carpentry, goldsmith, etc., by which one makes a living. Here they get the knowledge in detail of the subject or area that they have chosen. But here the knowledge will be restricted only to that field. Paravidya means knowing the root of everything. One may get surprised. How can one know the root of everything? It is not as difficult as we think. Let us take the example of gold. Now, there are so many golden ornaments. We have bracelets, bangles, chains, rings, etc. They are all many. In forms and shapes, they are very different. But they are made up of what? They are made up of gold. So, if we know gold, then we can know the golden ornaments. That means, if we know the essence of gold, we will know the essence of all the golden ornaments. Now let us take this example further in more detail. To know gold, what we should know? Gold is a metal in the element table. It consists of atoms, x number of atoms consisting of protons and neutrons, which in turn has quarks. So ultimately, gold is made up of quarks. How many quarks, how many atoms, how many neutrons, all these things determine what is the component of this. Similarly, other metals, similarly, other chemicals. So we can reduce it to quarks. So if you know quarks, from there we will be able to know all the materials. Science was talking only up to atoms until 50 years ago, before they stumbled upon the quarks. But 30 years ago, the belief that quarks is the ultimate thing was shattered. Scientists discovered that there is one more thing which is the base for the quarks, and that is strings, pulsating strings. They said pulsating strings is the base, and these strings in various combinations and permutations forms the quarks, and quarks in various permutations and combinations form protons and neutrons and electrons, and they in turn form atoms, and in turn the atoms in various permutations form the elements, and in turn they form the matter, and it becomes object. So if you reduce any object after a thorough scientific inquiry, you have come up to this vibratory strings. But science could not explain from where did the vibratory string come and what is its quality. They could not go beyond that. But Vedas, several millennia ago, has studied, explained, and elaborated what is the base of this universe, and they have traveled much beyond the vibratory strings. Now, this vibration up to which what the science has come is called in Veda as Panda, as a vibration. And Veda declares it is a vibration of the ultimate entity called the Parabrahman. The first vibration occurred in his mind as a thought out of a desire to produce this universe. That vibration manifested in various forms as further explained by science, and Vedas also explains the same way. But Vedas further say and explain what is the essence of this vibration, vibratory strings. Vedas declare and scientifically explain this vibration is the intelligent or conscious energy. It is the intelligence or conscious energy that is vibrating as the strings, and that string in various permutation and combinations forms starting from the quarks up to the various visible objects. So Vedas declare that from an invisible cell to the devas or sun, from dust to the galaxy, all of them are formed by this conscious energy vibrating at various vibratory scales and frequencies. And Vedas call this conscious energy as the ultimate spirit or the Parabrahman. It is a spark from the ultimate reality. When it wanted to create the world, that spark, the spiritual energy, the spirit, is what is the cause of this entire universe. This is called, in simple terms, Paramatma or Purushottama or whatever you may call. This is the foundational source. Behind this lies the Parabrahman, at whose will the whole thing is happening. This animating force or the spirit or the Tejas, as it may be called in various terms in Vedas, has two sides. It's a coin having two sides. On one side, it has consciousness or intelligence. On the other side, it has unlimited energy. This consciousness and energy is what is manifesting. It has manifested in the objects as we have explained, and it is also manifesting or manifested in the human beings in the similar way. The human beings are made up of various jnanendriyas and karmendriyas, various organs which are formed by various cells, and cells are formed by various atoms, and atoms are formed by various quarks, and in turn which are formed by the vibrating strings. The vibrating strings are nothing but the animating force. There are trillions and trillions of cells and atoms in the body, and each one is a pulsating animating force. This animating force is a true spirit or the energy that is sustaining the whole universe and also the man, the human being, or for that matter, any being. A human being has several bodies, not just one body. He has a physical body made of matter, we all know, and he has a mental body made of thoughts, desires, sensations, imaginations, memory, intelligence. This is called a Sukshma body, subtle body. Then he has one more body called a spiritual body, which consists of the intellect, the soul or the jiva, and the Atma. Atma is the individualized spark of the Paramatma meant to animate this body. It is a silent spectator. It is like a battery source which is there in the body to energize the rest under it. The first thing below it is Jiva. Jiva is a localized spiritual knot. It is localized because it has an ego, because it has to perform certain task. It is for performing a task we are all born. So this jiva carries with it its previous samskaras, its goal, its duties and responsibilities, its pluses and minuses, and that is the first level. It has ahankara, ego. Then it has an intellect. Intellect, it has intuition. The intuition is the constant communication between the Atma to the Jiva and to the mind. Atma is always trying to guide us. The divine spark is trying to guide us. But we are drowned in the earthly activities and we are not listening. But if we cultivate the habit and spiritually grow, we will be able to hear the divine voice. Then we will be able to grow well. So there is an intuition built in that spiritual body. So the spiritual body has soul or jiva, then intuition. Then the subtle body has mind, buddhi or intelligence, intellect, memory. Then we have a physical body. Physical body has a physical sheath of flesh and bone and a pranic body of inhalation and exhalation. The entire structure, physical body, the foot sheath, the vital sheath of prana, then the buddhi, the mind, the desires, the memory, the intellect, and the soul, and also the intuition, the power of intuition, everything is drawing energy from the Atman. It is Atma which is providing the energy. That Atma is nothing but the spirit. That spirit is nothing but a part of the universal spirit. So, we are actually spiritual being in a human body. So, spirituality means first to understand this fact that we are a spiritual being. It is a spiritual energy that is sustaining us. It is by using the spiritual energy we can grow. To grow spiritually, we have to energize the body. We have to energize the mind, and we have to energize the soul. And as you will notice, the spiritual body is at the top, the physical body is at the bottom, and it is a mental body which is in the mid region. The mental body or the mind is the only organ which has connection on one side with the physical body and on the other side with the spiritual body. So, if you want to grow, evolve, it has to be done only through the mind. That is why mind plays a very crucial role. Though the spiritual growth means, therefore, using the instrument of mind and moving away from these physical constraints, mental constraints, soul constraints, and evolve. The main problem for this spiritual evolution is three, because Jiva is clouded. While the Atma is pure, the Jiva, which is the individualized spark or soul, is colored. It is blackened by smoke of what? Of ego, karma, or vasanas, and the vices, various vices, Arishtavarga. We have desires of immense order, illegitimate desires, what they call as lust, greed, jealousy, etc. They cloud the soul. And similarly, ego, the I and me, that clouds the soul. Then the fallout of the actions, the karma, clouds the soul. Therefore, we are not able to see the real picture. We are not able to enjoy the bright sunshine that is emanating from the Atma. Therefore, we are suffering. So, the exercise has to be to control and remove these dirts of ego, karma, and vices. That can be done only by employing the mind. Basically, it is very simple task of being good in thoughts, words, and deeds. If you can do this, rest of the things will fall into place. So, to spiritually grow, we have to understand in detail whatever I have outlined now in brief. We have to gain complete knowledge and mastery and employ the methods of growing from stage to stage. We are living at the physical stage of sensations, desires, physical needs. Most of the animals live it at that stage. They have intelligence required to maintain their body, their needs like food, cohabitation, etc. But that is not life. That means we are thinking that we are a physical being. We don't know. We don't realize that we are spiritual being. So we have to go from the physical realm to the mental realm to the intellect, and from there we have to go to the intuitive sphere. From intuitive sphere we have to grow into cleansing the soul, and from there we have to move into the spiritual realm where it will be utter bliss. In doing all these things, we have to use the same spiritual energy which is maintaining us throughout at all stages. So, the spiritual growth involves two steps. One, knowing in detail about the spiritual energy. Two, how to deploy the spiritual energy to grow. Once we do this, then we will grow psychologically or mentally and evolve spiritually and succeed materially. And for this, Vedas have described several margas, and the easiest and best marga is Shakti Yoga. In Shakti Yoga, the science of the spirituality and the sadhana of spiritual growth is taught, and one can easily succeed spiritually. So, now we should have understood spirituality means understanding the spiritual energy. Like people dealing on the science of metal is called a metallurgist. Like person dealing with gold, who knows the knowledge of gold, is called goldsmith. The person who understands the spiritual energy is a spiritual person. There is a big difference between religion and spirituality. Religion is meant for disciplining the man and his mind, whereas spirituality is meant for growth and evolvement of the mind and soul. Religious practices may be relevant as a starting point, but that is not the end point. One can be spiritual using the religious practices as a starting point, but he cannot and should not end there. Then he will not grow in spirituality. All these things are explained in Shakti Yoga, about which we will discuss in one of our next videos. And Shakti Yoga will help you to grow spiritually. We must be clear in our mind that being born as a human being, it is our duty to spiritually grow, because as I told you before, we are spiritual being in a human form. So unless we do that, we are not achieving the purpose of our life. Therefore, let us understand what is spirituality, then try to become spiritual and be successful in life. I request all of you to subscribe to this channel so that you will be informed as soon as any new video is released, and also share with other people whom you think is worth being benefited by this spiritual channel. Hari Om.